What's up, people? My name is Shaggy, the Opinionated Hippie, currently ranking and reviewing the 36 Dick's Picks that the Grateful Dead released from the early 90s all the way to 2005. Each a live concert or a collection of songs simulating a live concert from dates that are near each other, etc. I'm doing them in groups of 6 because when they were released, there was an art concept that united 1 through 6, 7 through 12, etc. We're now on 19 through 24. This is the Lightning Bolt series. Each one of them has a lightning bolt and then has, this is a Daly City just south of San Francisco. So we got the Golden Gate Bridge right there. We got off the Pacific Ocean, I'm assuming. So that's the theme, is the lightning bolt with things surrounding it. Also, I'm realizing as I'm going through these that each of the 6 for the most part has like a Midland or Welnick era show, has something around 77 or 78, some 73 or 74, some like early 71, 72, probably like a 60s or maybe early 70, like early first half of 70, and then maybe some random other thing thrown in to kind of balance it out. Like if it's a Welnick, maybe an early Midland, or maybe like in this run, 76 finally. So the groups of 6 are kind of varied within them, and then they're tied together thematically with the cover design. I started this channel to only do things Frank Zappa, but he has this concept called the Big Note, which is that everything he ever played is part of the Big Note. I'm expanding that to include, like if he has a song called Teenage Wind, Off You Are What You Is, and he says, or someone says, I'm going to tighten my headband for an extra rush during Jerry's guitar solo, that means it is now part of the Big Note because he made a Dead reference. So yeah, I'm going to do these 6, 19 through 24, rank them 1 through 6, and then I will then, after that, read through my list of all 1 through 24. So where do these 6 fall in the overall scheme? I'm adding to that as I do 6. I've already done, obviously, 1 through 18. And then I will also address the dark stars and rank all the dark stars that have been included so far, because those are special. Dark stars are special. But anyways, I think that's all I have to say. And now on to number 6. All right, number 6 is volume 21. This is a show, the complete show with bonus tracks, right? With bonus tracks from Richmond, Virginia, November 1st, 1985. I might be in the minority on this. I remember seeing this tape floating around at one point. I think people really liked it, but what this is you look at the set list, and the set list is ridiculously strong. It is like, oh my gosh, look at this set list. Like, really, if you are a Dead fan, I'm gonna make this sort of what is it called? Spoiler alert right now. If you are a Dead fan and you are familiar with, I would say, the 80s and 90s and how their set lists work, first set, second set, that kind of thing, and you have not heard November 1st, 1985, or you have not heard this, stop this video right now and either skip to number 5 and don't watch the rest of this, or go pause the video, track the second set down, and listen to the second set without looking at the set list, because that experience is a great experience. The set list is phenomenal for any year, but especially for 85. Problem is, I don't think any of the performances, there are 2 performances that are pretty strong, but I don't think any of the performances lift the set list above the strength of the set list, if that makes any sense. So ultimately, it's disappointing. And every time I get this show out, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. And I listen to it, I'm like, I wish more had been done with what they were working with, if that makes any sense. So 85 shows, so we're in the heart of the Midland era. CD1, I think, is the entirety of the first set. Dancing in the Streets, not good in 85, in my opinion. Into Cold Rain and Snow. Again, I like Cold Rain and Snow as an opener. As a second song, I think we're wasting energy. Still, it's better than the Dancing in the Streets, but it's an 85 Cold Rain and Snow. It's just, I'm not feeling it for some reason. Little Red Rooster, Stagger Lee, Me and My Uncle Big River, which is pretty good. First, hey, I love Me and My Uncle. Brown Eyed Woman, always good. A Jack Straw, and then a Don't Ease Me In as to close out the first set. Okay, first set. There were much better 85 first sets in this. Not my favorite. Now we're getting into the part where it gets really good. So if you've not, spoiler alerts from here on out, you're warned. Okay, opens up with a Samson and Delilah. Okay. Then we get a high time. And always a pleasure to hear a high time. And this one is one of those in which Jerry isn't necessarily singing the song well, but the way he is singing the song fits the song well. So it's, like if you're someone that's new to the Dead, or you're trying to turn someone on to the Dead and they listen to this high time, they're going to be like, wow, that dude can't sing very well, can he? Or he's having a rough time tonight. But if you know the Dead and you know this song, his performance works. Like, it has a wariness to it that like adds to the song. Then we get a He's Gone. 2 Jerry songs in a row. Pretty solid He's Gone. Not one of the best, but pretty nice. Into a Spoonful. That's a pretty nice little treat. Not the best spoonful in the world, but it's nice to hear a spoonful out of He's Gone, right? So we're now like pretty deep into the set. Out of the spoonful, we get a Comes a Time. A pre-drum Comes a Time. Again, not the best Comes a Time I've ever heard. Pretty strong Comes a Time. Jerry kind of steps up vocally a little bit. Definitely one of the highlights of the second set, for sure. Then, obviously, we're like, 1, 2, 3, 5 songs. And at this point in time, drums usually happens. No. When it sounds like we might be going into drums, Jerry starts playing the intro to Lost Sailor, and we're off into Lost Sailor. Nice, strong Lost Sailor. We get a drums after that. Then we get a Space. Sure enough, after Space, they finish the Lost Saint. We get a Saint of Circumstance. Pretty sure this is the only time Lost Saint were played, and they were split. Saint would return in 90? Maybe 89 or 90, I think 90, without Lost Sailor. But this was the only time the two were played both, and they were split. And this was something I wish they had done more. This is nice. Even though when they go into drums after Lost Sailor, you kind of know Saint has to come out of Space. It's nice knowledge. It's comforting knowledge. Then they go into Gimme Some Lovin', which pretty nice to hear. But again, I don't think there's anything remarkable about this Gimme Some Lovin'. Then the highlight of the entire disc, for sure, we get a She Belongs to Me. I think there was only a couple of these. Jerry sings it beautifully. It is just such a special night. This is Bob Dylan's song. Absolute treat. Then Bob, not wanting to be outdone, drops a Gloria on us, which is pretty much just a lot of fun. Nice way to close the second set. But then we get a Keep Your Day Job as an encore, which is... this is the second Keep Your Day Job, I think, that's been on this Dick Picks. And it's not a bad song. It's just kind of a U.S. blues with worse lyrics. And then the bonus stuff is for the most part kind of good. Get a really good Space. This is an 80 show from September 2nd, 1980. I don't know where it's from. So from 5 years earlier, but still the same band. Space. And then out of Space, you get a pretty slow, kind of sparse, not as overwhelmingly festive version of Iko Iko. That is definitely a nice little treat. That goes into a pretty competent, pretty strong Morning Dew, and then we get a Sugar Magnolia. But it's a good disc. I mean, it's a good volume, but I do think when looking at this set list, like what they give us, apart from the Comes a Time, which is strong but not the best, and the She Belongs to Me, which is the highlight of the disc, apart from those, I don't think any of the other songs are like the best versions of those songs. So it just kind of feels like a missed opportunity. It feels like one of those nights where they're like, we're not really feeling it musically, but man, we can make a good show if we drop the right songs, right? So anyways, yeah. So that's how I feel about this. This is volume 21, November 1st, 1985. It's my number 6. Number 5 is volume 24, Daly City, California, the cover I showed earlier. 323.74. Yes, this is a 74 show that is not at the top of a list. This is kind of like the previous one. I think a little bit of fool's gold, and that what you see is not as, it is what you get. I mean, there's no trickery going on. But I think the expectations upon looking at what is on paper aren't matched. And so I think I'm in the minority again on this one. I think this is one of those people generally love. It's mainly because of the second CD that is on here, which is the second set part. But I think that this is another one where I'm like, yeah, I don't know. So 2 CDs. It's all from one show. The first CD is a collection of songs from the first set, not the entire first set. Great songs, but again, we have a lot of 73 and 74 era Dick's Picks release. I just think this is a solid, good listen. And if you had this ranked much higher, I wouldn't blame you. It's a 74 show, it should be. But to me, okay, the first set has a lot of really good songs, but I think there are other versions of them on the other 73, 74 releases. Open with a U.S. Blues Promised Land back-to-back. What are you going to do about that? Or at least that's what's on. Yeah, I think that's what they actually open with. But the highlights of it, you get the first ever Scarlet Begonias, the first ever Cassidy. You get a really strong China Rider, and then a Weather Report suite to close out the first set. So you got some really strong performances, but these performances of these songs would be like, there are better 74 and even 73 performances of these songs in the Dick's Pick series. So that's kind of not helping it rise higher to the top. Still good. The second CD has three times, and this is the third time they did this. They played, I guess, a sandwich or a palindrome, which they did Playing in the Band, into Uncle John's Band, into Morning Dew, back into Uncle John's Band, back into Playing in the Band. So you got a Playing in the Band sandwich with a Morning Dew meat, some Uncle John condiments on there. And on paper, obviously, that's ridiculous and fantastic. I personally don't think any of the Playing or the jams are just epic enough to like make this go to a higher ranking. The Playing, we're talking, this is the era where, well, at least by the end of 73, so we're already in this era where Playing in the Band is going to some deep space areas. This one goes into Uncle John's Band, which is really cool and exciting, but it feels more like a late 80s kind of jam transition, even though the Playing, I think, is better than that era. Uncle John's Band is solid. It's good. The transition into Morning Dew is great. For me, personally, my favorite moment of all this is the Morning Dew doesn't reach that peak and explode at the end. It just kind of, at some point, kind of just levels off and then finds its way back into Uncle John's Band, which I think is pretty interesting. It's not as satisfying a Morning Dew, but it's interesting. We go back into Uncle John's Band, then we go back into Playing the Band. Again, a really neat, fun journey, but I don't think the performances bring it up to like the next level. Then we get a Big River, a Bertha, a Wharf Rat, and a Sugar Magnolia. So a solid disc, a good listen. There's nothing bad about this at all. It's got some historical importance for lots of reasons, some debut songs, that little sandwich that they do, which they only did 3 times. So it'd be neat. Maybe they have, I'm not sure if they release the other 2, if they have those in good sound quality, so we have all 3. But anyways, yeah, that's my number 5, volume 24. Number 4 is volume 19, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, October 19th, 1973. My favorite era. Again, not at the top of the charts. This is an interesting group of 6 we have here. But this is just another case of a really good performances, great performances. Again, every single one of these releases is really strong. None of these are bad. It's just they're so strong, some of them have to fall towards the back of the pack. I have to keep reminding myself that. I'm like, because I really enjoy this show. But I don't think there's anything that really knocks this up to the next level. You just got a bunch of really high-quality standard 73 performances. The first, I think it's the entire show, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe the first set is missing songs. But we get all first set material, and then the first song of the second set is playing in the band, which ended the first set. Get a Promised Land, an early Sugaree. Don't ease me in the middle of the set, which I'm a fan of that. I like the ending of They Love Each Other, and then an El Paso, and then a Road Jimmy. There's a nice energy and vibe to those three songs. The playing in the band is one of those just Jerry going full exploratory for the entire 19 minutes. So it's like for the entire, how long is that jam? About 15-minute jam. Just Jerry just kind of going jazzy and all over the place, and the band following, and it's just your typical playing in the band with the pedal to the metal the entire time, not aggressive and distorted, just exploratory and jazzy, and just Jerry going places only Jerry goes, and all that crazy just noodling. Guess if you're going to use the word noodling to describe Jerry's playing, as I think people do, this is one of the perfect, awesome playing in the band where he just does that and the band's with him the entire time. And then for the second set, this is on disc 2 now, playing in the band. We got a China Rider, strong China Rider. We got that nice feeling groovy transition in the middle there. Me and My Uncle, Mississippi Half Step, which is always a winner, and a Big River. And then really for me, the prize of this, CD3 starts off with a Dark Star. This is a really strange Dark Star. It's only 15, 16 minutes long, but it feels like if you've ever cooked and you're trying to make something like a gelatin, or even you're making a cream or something, and it just never comes together, the different ingredients never do what they're supposed to do, and it just never actually sets. That's what this Dark Star feels like. It's not like they're off exploring, going all these crazy, interesting places, just ignoring the fact that it's a Dark Star. It really feels like they're trying to get something to happen, and it just kind of never does. And so it has this very amorphous vibe. There's drums and all that stuff, right? It's not like this space, but it definitely feels like it just can't quite get an idea formed to come together to do something, which makes it interesting. But it's a weird vibe. So when Jerry does start singing the first verse, it's almost like he's like, okay, guys, I'm just going to sing the first verse. I'm going. And it's like, okay, okay. He was just we have to deal with what we have. We aren't going to make anything. And then after that, they do the verse. Phil gets his little bomb dropping solos that he does, making some loud noises. And then they find their way into a really nice Mind Left Body Jam, which is off Paul Kantner's second album, maybe his third album, The Baron of Wittgenstein, whatever. There's a song called The Mind Left the Body. This same kind of similar chord progression, why it's called a Mind Left Body Jam. And that goes into a really nice Morning Dew. And then the encore, this is a nice treat. It's not one of the best versions of the song, but the encore is in Eyes of the World, and that goes into a really nice Stella Blue. And then the second encore is a Johnny Be Good. So, again, really strong show, great listen, but it's number 4 just because there's 3 things that are better. And I think the highlight, though it, in a weird way, is that Dark Star Mind Left Body Jam. That Dark Star which doesn't become a Dark Star. Anyways, number 4, volume 19. Oh, and it's got The Skies of Oklahoma. I'm assuming those are actual Oklahoma clouds. Sorry for the glare. I doubt it. Number 3 is volume 23, Baltimore Civic Center, September 17th, 1972. We get a raven, of course, because it's Baltimore. Would it have been interesting if it was Frank's face on there? And then I guess we get the bay around it, right? So anyways, everything but the encore, which was one more Saturday night, so okay. Excellent, ridiculously excellent show. Just the energy is there from start to finish. Pretty typical 72 set list, with one absolutely monstrous performance that is just one of those absolutely must hear type things. CD, the first set I think is all CD1, and then it continues on to CD2. So the highlights of the first set, we get a nice strong bird song in the middle of the set, a China Rider towards the end of the set, a nice fast Friend of the Devil, opens with a Promised Land, a really strong playing in the band towards the end of the first set. Again, just a really nice exploratory, jazzy type playing in the band, like close to 20 minutes long. And then a Casey Jones to end the first set, which I think is I like Casey Jones as a first set ender. Personally, that's a really good first set ender. Second set, we get a Truckin', a Loser, Jackstraw, Mississippi, and Me and My Uncle, and then the meat, the heart, the best part of the show. We get a kind of a slow but like not lethargic He's Gone, which one of the best things about this era is He's Gone generally went into the other one, and this is one of those He's Gones which like you kind of have to listen to so that you get into this like just like chill mode, so that when the He's Gone slams your head into like the wall, you're like fully unprepared for it. So we get the He's Gone, as we're like, He's Gone is ending. We don't get much of like a jam towards the end, but Phil doesn't do like a bass run. He starts doing the doo-dun, 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 and we get a really healthy other one like jam for like 3.5 minutes. Then we get like a nice little drum solo section for a couple minutes, and then Phil does the do 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 and drops the bass bomb, and we're just off. I think this is a 39-minute other one. This is high energy. There are just, the end is like Jerry is tigering it up as much as he possibly can, as fierce as he can get it. It is one of those just utterly cathartic, just an endurance test of just incredible playing. 40 minutes of the other one, just ridiculous. And that goes into Sing Me Back Home, which is a nice treat from this era of the band. And then we get a Sugar Magnolia and a really kind of rare Uncle John's Band to close out the show. To close out the set, we would then not get a One More Saturday Night on this release. But great songs, great performances, but if you listen to anything only, you need to listen to that 40-minute other one, because it is just a monster of epic proportions. Phil is everybody is on top of their game. But listen to the He's Gone first, because really just that chill vibe that it gets in, that it kind of lulls you into before it utterly just like slams you back against the wall. It's fantastic. But yeah, man. So yeah, we get the beach on the back. So yeah. Oh yeah. So there we go. Number 3, volume 23, an amazing September 72 show. Number 2 is volume 22. This is a compilation of material from February 1968, the 23rd and 24th, in Lake Tahoe, California. I used to go to Lake Tahoe, California when I was like in college. And even then it was kind of definitely not an overdeveloped tourist attraction, kind of like, low key, and kind of like, Reno was the closest big city, and Reno is like the youngest cousin of Las Vegas. It's like a very small version of Vegas. So to imagine what it was like to play in Lake Tahoe on the North Shore at a place called Kings Beach Bowl, which was a bowling alley, and to see this show in 68, mind's blown. Nice cover. We got some of the Lake Tahoe, the Sierra Nevadas in the back, and a nice lightning bolt on the lake right there. It's pretty sweet. 2 discs. Some of the rougher sound quality thus far. It is a 68 show. I would say this is entirely worth getting for the first track alone, a massive, almost 20-minute Viola Lee blues that is just the Viola Lee blues to end all Viola Lee blues. I'm sure there are others out there that can compare with this, but this is just ridiculous. One of the Dead's best songs, one of the best performances of this song, just an absolutely fantastic moment. Then we get a Hurts Me Too. Then we get one of the other just main attractions of this discs, of this era and this release, is how the Dead would take songs that would eventually develop into like these monstrous things. And we get these like almost rushed, very abbreviated versions of them, kind of segueing in and out of each other as they kind of figure out, as they figure themselves out still as a band. But after the Hurts Me Too, we get a Dark Star, not very long, right? Yeah, it's like 7 minutes total, into a ridiculously fast China Cat Sunflower, into the 11. The 11 is finally nicely jammed out. They're kind of comfortable with this. Into a Turn on Your Love Light that's only 12 minutes long. Then to close out the disc, we get a Born Cross-Eyed into a really nice Spanish jam. And that concludes the disc. Really nice early 68 Spanish jam. Disc 2 opens up with a Morning Dew. Again, the jam at the end is nearly non-existent, but it's a really nice, fun, solid Morning Dew. We get a Good Morning Little Schoolgirl. Again, not one of my favorite songs. 15 minutes of this. Nice jam in the middle, but again, this is for me the low point of the disc. But then we get a That's It for the other one into a New Potato Caboose, which is fantastic. And then the highlight after the Amazing Viola Lee Blues, starting strong, ending strong. We get an Alligator into a China Cat Sunflower, into the 11, back into Alligator, into a full-on 12-minute Caution, Do Not Step on the Tracks, into a Feedback. I'm assuming disc 1 was mostly the first show, as we have the China Cat 11. Disc 2 is probably that second show. But yeah, if you like early Dead, you cannot go wrong with this. Again, none of these things are like pushed to like deep space, like psychedelic jam limits as they, would be in a couple years. But the energy is incredible. The segues are fun. Some of these things are jammed really, really well. The Caution, the 11s, Alligator is such a fun song. But yeah, excellent release. Number 2 in this run, volume 22, 268 shows. Material from 268 shows. And number 1 in this group of 6 is volume 20. This is almost 2 complete shows from September 1976, a definitely underrepresented period in the band's development. This is when Mickey is coming back. They're starting to tour again. Their sound, they have taken songs that we've known for years and they're now playing them slower, but not slower because they need to. It just seems like they're letting these songs breathe more. So they're slower, but they're forcefully, there's power behind the slowness, right? And they're also, I think, just taking longer to develop ideas and taking more time to explore. And then sometimes in things like Not Fade Away, that slowness becomes just monstrous and thunderous and like stomping. So I think one of the most interesting sort of the 76, their return, and then slowly as we get into the epicness of 77, one of their most interesting periods. Again, this is September 25th, September 28th. I think most of the second sets are here, and then we have the best of the first sets. 4 CDs, so we got another 4 CD release. Performances are all pretty good. Some of the songs don't quite work, but I don't think there's anything horrible on here. The first set, CD1 is the first set of the first show. The highlights, we got a really strong Let It Go towards the end. And it's really kind of like fast, and they're really excited to be playing this Let It Go. And it seems like it's like, we've cut you free from the Weather Report suite, and now you can like fly at your own pace. There's a really good energy to this Let It Grow. There would be another Let It Grow on the next disc, the next show, that is even better. But we just get some really solid performances, a really good Peggy O, a really good Loser, some good stuff in that first set. The second set, Lazy Lightning, Supplication, excellent. Great additions to this era of the band's set list. Energy is good. The Supplication is well jammed. Nice energy. That goes into a really good Mississippi Half Step. Mississippi Half Step is now starting to get like where it's just even like expanding out more, and they're taking more time in the across the Rio Grande. That part is just becoming more epic in its development. That goes into or that doesn't go into it, but after that we get a really good dancing in the streets. This era of Dancing in the Streets, not a big fan of the disco version of it, but the jam in the middle it just like goes and just goes. I don't know if anybody listens to Mo, but it reminds me of their Bring You Down, that song that's off. Darn, now I can't remember the name. I think it's Bring You Down is the name of the song. It's kind of that Neil Young song that just has a really nice long solo in it that doesn't really go anywhere, but it just keeps going and going, but you're never bored. That's what this Dancing in the Streets jam. Jerry's just having a good time, and he's just exploring this vamp, and it's just a really, really good middle jam. That goes in, or kind of as it fades out, and it almost dies out, we get we go into a Cosmic Charlie. I think they played it 6 times in 76 before dropped it. I think this is one of the last Cosmic Charlies, but it's one of those 6. Again, they've kind of evened it out and slowed it down, and it's just, I like it. I wish they had kept it around. I think it works really well as sort of a second set coming out of a jam type number where you're jamming and then all of a sudden somebody's like picking up a slide and doing a no. Oh, that would have been epic. But really nice to hear a Cosmic Charlie. We get a Scarlet Begonias, and then we get a Saint Stephen Not Fade Away, which would become sort of like, one of the signature combos of this era. Drums, really nice jam, back into St. Stephen, and then we get a Sugar Magnolia to close out disc 2. That's all from the first show. Second show, better than the first show. Opens up with the Cold Rain and Snow. Sounds incredible. A really good energy in that middle jam, in that middle part section. Candyman in the middle of this first set. Really nice to hear a Candyman. And it's a good It's All Over Now. Friend of the Devil. We're slowing it down now. We've slowed Friend of the Devil down. Another song that's given more room to breathe. And then an epic to close out the set. Let It Grow. Again, high energy, really energetic, attacking jam into a Going Down the Road Feeling Bad, which is just, who would have expected that? Excellent selection there. And then on to CD4, the final CD, opens up with a Playing in the Band. That kind of doesn't really, we don't go too far out into the exploration because we go into The Wheel. That is a song I wish they had kept. When I was seeing The Dead, The Wheel was generally out of space. You'd space and then you go into The Wheel. I like this coming out of Playing in the Band. This happened a couple times in this era. It's neat to hear The Wheel. I think sandwiched between songs, the way you get into it and the way you go out of it are some of the Dead's most interesting moments. And again, here, really interesting. We get a Playing into The Wheel, into a into a Samson, into a jam after Samson, legitimate jam after Samson, into a Comes a Time. Man, just like bringing it all. Drums, and then an Eyes of the World out of drums. And then after the Eyes of the World, there's an index jam called the Orange Tango Jam. It's definitely a lot different than the jams you would get at the tail end of like 73 and 74 Eyes. Could just be called Eyes of the World. This could be a 13-minute Eyes of the World, but they've sort of indexed that jam separately, which is fine. But that's a really nice little jam that eventually takes us into another Dancing in the Streets. This middle jam is definitely not as epic as that first show's, but it's still it's got a really good tempo and a really good energy about it. And then finally, we finish up with a Playing in the Band, and then the encore is Johnny Be Good. Just love this era, love the energy of the band. Having Mickey back, that rhythm section is bringing it. Phil is on. Everybody is just on point for these two shows. Again, this is Landover, Maryland, is September 25th, 76. And then you get Syracuse, New York for the 28th. We got some forests around there, around New York, Maryland, that area. So yeah, there we go. Excellent. Just two excellent, really good performances. My number one out of this group of 6, volume 20. And that's it for my ranking of 19 through 24, 1 through 6. This is now right here, my ranking of all 24, including these last 6. 20 and 22 from this video jumped all the way to number 6 and 7. I both really like both those. And at the top 3, we still have 73, 74 era stuff. Number 4 is an awesome 2-disc 77 set. We got a lot more really good 77 stuff coming up in this next group of 6. Number 5 is a really good 70 show. And at the bottom, we still have stuff from the more recent era of the Dead, which has its moments, but again, just can't compare to the rest. And that's that. And now this is my list of Dark Star. My favorite is still that laid-back, chill, tighten-up Halloween one from 71, Volume 2. The 22 from this video, it's just pretty much a song that sets up a whole bunch of other amazing moments, so that's why it's number 8. And then the 19, the one that could not quite coalesce, is jumping to number 6. So anyways, that's that. So anyways, thanks for watching. Let me know why I'm wrong, why I'm right. If you check these out and you agree, let me know. Comment, whatever, you know, subscribe, comment, like, all that kind of stuff. Thanks for watching, and enjoy your summer. Or if you're on the other half of the world, the bottom half, enjoy your winter, people. And see you later. Bye.